So, like I said, we dedicate this satsang to memory of Mr. Puri and to the great master Hazur Baba Savan Singh Maharaj. Mr. Puri, he is my master. He's the one who initiated me. And this is called Great Master Initiation. He also initiated many of you, and I can recognize some of you who were initiated by the Master. Please understand that Great Master Initiation, this is a very specific initiation. There are many masters, they will give you Namdan, but this is very special initiation. And I came to conclusion, guys, that not many people realized what that really is or was when Mr. Puri was alive, and how kind he was to everyone. Grace just mentioned to me his compassion. I never met someone with such a great compassion and love, never. Not in this life, for sure. And many people who were around him, not everybody seen that. Not everyone was aware who are they dealing with. I became aware for myself who Mr. Puri was at one point. This is experience I could never share, ever. As long as I live, I'll have to take that with me. But he proved to me that he was the perfect living master, and not just that. So when I speak at the satsangs, I speak from my experience. I try not to speak from the books or transcripts or videos, anything like that. I'm trying to take myself out and just speak from what I get from him. So when I prepare for satsang, it never works out the way I will want to. I get this downloads during the time between the satsangs. Thanks, Mr. Puri. I receive. I have the whole list of this here. But please understand that the role of the perfect living master the real role of the perfect living master is Namdan. So what is the percentage of what master does? Speaking about Namdan, that's about 100%. So what's the rest, the zero? The zero is just speaking to the mind. So you need to understand that when these masters address us as human beings, when they speak to the mind, this is a really small part of the mission. The real mission they have is take you back to your true home. And in Sutshab Yoga and Sant Mat, we call that Satlok, or we call this Sachkhand. And the Sachkhand is not just any place, anywhere, or somewhere in the sky, between the stars. This is located specifically This is located specifically also within the human form. So I went to some experience lately because I was looking the emails, and I had some stuff, and Grace said, "Well, I want to print this out." And I said, "Okay, I will send you the email so you can print this out." And this had to deal with this 18 chakras Great Master speaks about, and where they are located. And so I sent it to Grace. And then I realized when I went on a Gmail, Ishvarpuri Sandmat, but somehow this went to the Gmail automatically. I don't know if my computer is set up like that. I said, "Oh my gosh, oh no." I hope nobody will see this, because now I'm going to have a huge explanation to do and huge responsibility, because this is a secret stuff. So I called Pranay. "Have you seen it? This?" And Pranay said, "No, I did not." I said, "Oh, thanks. And then I talked to Nick. "Have you seen this email? You know, some this and that?" He said, "No." I said, "Oh, thank you, Master, because now I put myself in such a troubles, because not even Mr. Puri was speaking about. And this part of Sandmat, where my understanding is, even a Great Master did not reveal, with exception of some private, maybe conversation with some disciple. So this is not like it can be just posted. Thanks to my master, I got away with it. Otherwise, I would be in serious troubles, because this is something that's very, this is a huge responsibility, and it can be practiced only under strict supervision of the perfect living master. This is not spoken to Sangha. Like I said, so that's a good part. There's a time and place for everything, like they say. But I just made some, wrote some information here, like 2 hours or so before the satsang. So I'm gonna make some announcements. I wrote those down here. Then maybe if Raj comes back, she can tell us the story. If she does not come back, I will just take some question and answers. So I appreciate your patience. This is not the one. This is not the one. This is the one. By the way, there's many people giving these satsangs, and some of them they have a great knowledge. Please understand that the satsangs are not about knowledge. The satsang, it's a company of true. Sang means the company, Sat means true. So the real satsang is the company of Satpurush. Although we may have, Master will say, "Oh, 2 people together, it's a satsang." You know, that is the kind of version of the satsang. But the real definition of the satsang in Sutra Yoga, as practice in Sandmat, is the company of the master. And there's a lot of things going on when there's a master between satsangis. So you may have 10 or 20 people getting together doing meditation and doing all these exercises or watching videos, this is not the same. If anyone has a doubt about that, Mr. Puri explained that in the Anatomy of Consciousness. He's down to the point. My understanding is, even from Anatomy of Consciousness, that unless you're in the presence of the real master, you're wasting your time. Not wasting your time that you do meditation, get your mind better, or socializing, or have a kitchen and food. In the end, everything has its place, but the real communication is way within. The real show is way within. And normally we are not aware of that show in the sense when you have a physical body and operate from physical body, from the senses, and mostly through eyes and ears, sound, varanatmic, which is audible sound, spoken word. But I learned from Mr. Puri so the degree is that real show is way within. Fortunately, unfortunately, this cannot be explained. We can try to explain this, but this can only be experienced. So the point I'm trying to make is there's many people who will speak at these satsangs. Excuse me. Can I have some more, please? They will speak about the Sutra Yoga, but they will translate some text, this and that, and they will tell you great, incredible stories and knowledge. Well, unless this is experienced, it is just book knowledge. So I wrote this, okay, let's give an example of that. I spoke to Pranay about that. There's a book, it's called Manual of Sant Mat. Manual of Sant Mat. And it's called The Philosophy of Liberation, Moksha Darshan. And this is written, it's, by the way, is a very good book for anyone who cares to get that and read that. It's by Maharishi Mehi, Paramahansaji Maharaj. And the translation I looked, English translation is from 1998, first edition, by Donald and Howard, Navina Howard. Maharishi Mehi is one of the masters. There are two schools, basically, Agra and Vyas, as originally developed. Some of these masters come from the Agra part. Some of these masters, perfect living masters, they come from the Vyas. So this is a whole story. But there are many masters who wrote incredible work. So let's say I know nothing about Sant Mat or Sutra Yoga. I have no experiences. If I read this book and really read it and comprehend the knowledge, I mean, literally, you can go to any satsang group and be the smartest person in the room. I mean, just by reading this book and really absorbing what Maharishi Mehi writes as the master, you can be smartest person in the room. Anything you say, no one will be able to question, really. So each of us can do this, especially if someone knows Punjabi or Sanskrit or Hindi, because there's a lot more text. There's some texts which are not translated to English yet by many masters. So that's a huge advantage for a person like that. So what? The knowledge is just a knowledge. All this knowledge is within the mind. The real masters, they speak from experience. Now, when I said I speak from my experience, that doesn't mean I claim I'm the master. I'm not. I'm just a sevadar to my master. I'm just trying to give you an example that by reading this book and memorizing all of that, everything in that book, you can be really have an audience of many people, mesmerize them just by that pure knowledge. But like I say, the role of the master is different. The real role of the perfect living master is take you back home. He has no concern really to make your life better or make everything smooth. His concern is not the mind, not the aspects of the mind in that sense. He's concerned about taking you beyond the mind. So I would like to make some announcements. We did some changes to the website, Ishvarpuri Santmat website. I had some disclaimers. I removed some of those disclaimers. And if you go to the page, the contact page, there's only one disclaimer there. And that will stay, that has to stay for many different reasons. I have a very serious reason why I have that. And these are not like we don't like people or something, or we're not the brothers and sisters of anyone else or any organization. This is a specific purpose of that. And this is, I'm working within the Moj on that, my Moj. So we did some changes and we added the page, which is called Dera. This Dera page has to do with future Dera here in Sedona, Arizona. This is not the new Moj. This Moj is for some time. And I was waiting with this Moj 6 months maybe, or anyway. So this Moj was finalized on the 7th. The 7th of June is the date which this Moj is official. To those who do not understand the word Moj, Moj means will of the master. And that can never be challenged. If the Moj comes from the real master, like Mr. Puri, this cannot be challenged in that sense by anyone else. And so in that case, when Mr. Puri had his physical form, he was a perfect living master. Living master means saint who has a physical form. When he declared Moj about this or that, that was the Moj. No one could challenge that. So there are different masters and different groups. For example, the master in Bias right now is St. Gurinder Singh Dhillon, and he has his Moj. So whatever that Moj is, within that Sangat in Bias, that's what it is. Same with Science of Spirituality, or SOS, St. Rajendra Singh. And that organization, he has his Moj, and so that's how it works. The Moj is always with the living master. When the predecessor leaves the physical body, this continues to the new master. And there's always the master. Now, the process, how that works, is totally unknown. I don't know a single person live alive, unless they're the master, who know what that is. Many people will make the claims, this and that, but this is not how it works. Kirpal Sen mentioned, Trishti from the Great Master, and this is just a part of it. So nobody really knows, but many will claim I'm successor, but they don't even know what that means, and none of them even know how that works. So this is how should I say, best kept secret by the masters. They know who is who between each other, but Sangat is in the kind of situation they can either go within and verify, okay, they can feel pulled to this master or that master, but no one really knows. So for someone who is the master, let's say there is a master now, that would be like very easy to know who is who. It would take 1 second. So these things are just between the saints. If you think a regular master, for example, like Mr. Puri can have a satsang in front of the sun god and tell everything, this is not how it works. That's not possible. There are some things these masters have to keep for themselves. They cannot be revealed even to satsangis. And like I said, I don't make a claim I'm the master, but I was sitting with Grace, and that was in Las Vegas some time ago, in the Bellagio. There's a hotel called Bellagio with the fountains outside. So I was sitting, Master was sitting on my left, Master wife Toshi was sitting across me, and there was a Grace on the other side. So we were having like a very nice table, very nice restaurant. What is it called? Jasmine restaurant, yeah. You eat on the golden plates.
There is a Japanese.
Japan, that's a Japanese. So they give you gold plates to eat, or gold plated and everything. Under the gold, yes. I asked Master, can I take one? He said no, because we were his guests, their guests. So we're sitting in this restaurant. It's just a beautiful, one of the probably nicest places. And I'm looking at the master, and I said, there's so many things. I'm trying to remember exactly what. There's so many things I am aware of so many things I will never be able to speak about. I said, right? And he looked at me. He just looked at me, smiling, his eyes. Good boy. That's what he said to me. Good boy. So that was his answer. Answer for thanks people will just give anything, right? He said the good boy. But I'm just trying to give example that there are also constraints outside for these masters, what they can say. Even the great master said, how can I tell them the truth? And there's a other part. I don't want to quote the other part. You might find out if you read the works of Fakir Chan. Excuse me. So going back to the Moch, boom, Moch, I mean the will of, which comes from within, the will of the master is to, this Dara we just added. So let me say a few things about that. June 7, 2022, yes. And there's a picture on the Dara page with Mr. Puri with the umbrella standing. This is by the chapel. This is a chapel. This is the picture. We went to that chapel many times with Grace. We used to go going there. and the Chapel of the Holy Cross. So that's where he is standing. And this umbrella symbolizes his protection, his nun, the protection of this whole project, what we're talking about. So back then, 18 or so, 2005 or something, you know, this master was already here. So I would like to point out that the master, Mr. Puri was here many, many, many times. And this was one of his favorite places.
His wife
And his wife, Toshi.
Satsangis.
And sometimes there was a group Satsangis, I think in 2005 or
2004.
or 4, something like that. So that picture is, by the way, from that time when the group of Satsangis came to Sedona with the master. But also privately, they had the place in Oak Creek, right? That house.
Yes.
Where is that?
In the Oak Creek.
Oak Creek Canyon. Yeah, that was the place that was say it was like a house. And there was a lady friend of theirs. She will give them the house anytime they came over to Sedona. So I spoke privately to Mr. Puri and I asked him, what about these vortexes? Many people claim that there's so many vortexes. It's a very special place in Sedona. So he explained to me that he went on the vortex and meditated. And very positive, he explained this very positive. I don't want to give you details, but in very positive, he verified, in other words. And I said, Grace, we live in here for what? How many?
22 years.
22 years here, right next to vortex. So we actually living on the vortex. This house is on the vortex, you may say, so to speak. And Mr. Puri really liked this place. So this is one of the reasons we have this knowledge. So what we're talking about when we say Dera, we're talking about some place here in Sedona. It has to be in Sedona, which at least have a kitchen, place to eat, room like people can assemble for satsang, and you know the facilities, other facilities to wash up and so forth. And we have to have a separate room like for interviews. So we're not looking like something huge, just something which people can come over from all over the world and meditate. Or we can have workshops. And we may have workshops even outside on the vortex or on the places where Mr. Puri was having satsangs. I know where those places are. And we went to one with Grace. Grace made me a pictures, you know, the picture Mr. Puri sits like those trees and the tree trunks. So we went over there. I said, wow, imagine the same place. So he was sitting and make some pictures that the tree was still there. A lucky tree, by the way, you know, basically what next life, you know what that means. So there's a lot of opportunities here. Sedona is also a place where there's 3-5 million people going through. There's all facilities, restaurants, hotels, you name it, recreation, jeep rides. It's just like, but I mean, I never heard anyone who had a bad vacation in Sedona, no matter what. Did you hear anyone? No. There's some beautiful places, and I know some places privately, which I've been myself. I also witnessed some very incredible things in Sedona. I mean, some of the spiritual things, they're actually true. I experienced them myself. So it's not just Mr. Puri verifying this, it's also I used to was really going to this to the vortexes, to the Boynton Canyon. I even went to Secret Canyon, and so it's just incredible. So if you have a problems with meditation, going within, this may be helpful to you. As a side note, because the veil is thin. There's some, look at this way, the veil between realities gets thinner in some places. So there's a huge stupa, one of the biggest in the Western Hemisphere. Here in Sedona, those monks came from Himalayas, from all these different lamas, a lot of different lamas. And they decided that they have a place in West Sedona, about 10 acres, and there's a huge stupa with her. And they decided this is one of the most important points on the whole earth. Whole planet, this is one of the most important for them because of the energy. So they come over even now and they walk around the stupa and so forth and so forth. They have all these ceremonies, but when they build this stupa, it was incredible because they put millions of these prayers, like a little puppy was like with the prayers, the millions in the side of the stupa from all over the world, people. But they said that, you know, like human body has a chakra, so let's say, according to them, the earth also has this. And they said this is another point, but this is one of these highest points. On the earth, there's one, I think, somewhere in South America, and maybe one in Kashmir, somewhere in Asia, Kashmir, or somewhere they have. So I and Grace, we were going there so many times, but there was less people. So we will go there and walk around, like clockwise. You have to give like an offering. There's like a place to give offerings, and then you make your ways. And walking like three times around clockwise. So you just walking around, me and Grace, and we are initiated already in Saint Mark. I tell you something. There's something to this. This is no joke. So much fun you can have in Sedona, and it's just a beautiful place. So I and Grace, we live in here, like Grace said, for 22 years. So we have a little ranch. We used to board horses, by the way. People will come with the horses from all over the country, and they will stay with us. And we had two of our own horses at the time, but now we are too old for this. Our horses were Lewis and Clark.
Yes.
Yeah, like those two explorers. They explore America, Lewis and Clark. So we had like two horses.
2 quarter horses.
Quarter horses, yeah. I used to ride the horse a little bit. I'm not a good rider, but they call me like Polish cowboy. John called me Polish cowboy. I never fell off the horse, but I just about every time I was riding, I was like, my gosh. So I did ride a horse though. My friend here, he had like 5 or 7 horses, so he will borrow me one horse. He said, well, Cezary, this is a good horse. I said, well, he's limping on one leg. I said, that's okay. You can ride this one. He was the real cowboy, by the way. So this is a great news for me. But what I'm trying to say, since I and Grace were living here, it doesn't change anything for us. We are here already, but based on my experience, this is incredible idea, incredible merge. People just don't know how beautiful this could be. And you need to understand that the center of spirituality now is in Sedona. the center of spirituality is always where the feet are. Some of you understand what that means. I know Pranay understand that, and Nick and Lena. So here in Sedona, everything is very expensive. So the house you see on the picture, Mr. Puri with umbrella, that got sold for $27 million, that house. And originally was built by Lasik, Dr. Lasik. This is from Romania. He's the doctor who designed laser surgery on the eyes. So every time if somebody does the laser surgery, he gets a part, he gets some of the money from that.
He doesn't live there.
But he doesn't live there anymore. Somebody else bought it from Colombia, by the way. So the prices here are totally different. Land in Sedona is not $1,000 per acre. Last time, years ago, which I checked, it was $1 million per acre in West Sedona. So this is not like a cheap place to be, but it is a very special place and one of the only places on the whole earth. There's not many places like this. And like I said, Mr. Puri and Toshi, they really loved it. Spend the vacations here privately many, many times. So because of the zoning in Arizona and everything else, this is a register of contractors, regulate any work, construction work in Arizona. If there's going to be enough people who are interested in it, this will have to be purchased. Either already building will have to be purchased because the building costs are getting too high. The wood, steel, and everything else is just getting so high. So it's very expensive to build. People who build in now here as like a super millionaires. Otherwise, no one would be. You have to be like have money, like serious money to build anything. But for example, I saw one time when I passed this church, like one of those white churches, the Methodist or Protestant churches, and it was for sale. Something like that would be even perfect. Just like on all the Western movies, but only here. Nice place. Because you have to understand that this will have to be C zoning or commercial zoning. In other words, place like this will have to be in commercial C1 or maybe C2. And then we'll have to have a parking also. If you don't have a parking, they won't let you to open and do anything. But sounds now we have some record of Ishvapuri Santmat. If this is gonna go forward, then we can have Ishvapuri Santmat as the organization registered in the state of Arizona. Because now we'll be able to show, okay, this is what we do, these are videos, this and that. So to get on the 513, all this nonprofit organization, if that's the case. But this will all be for the people who are initiated and for those who are not initiated. I personally have I'm not seeking that personally. So I spoke to Grace about that many times. But if it was up to me, I wasn't the one to really, I want this. I put this like, no. One of the reasons also is last Satsang, Raj mentioned, we need people like Ashram, people like Dera or something like that. They like to have a kitchen and Indian food. And so do I. I like Indian food. I love Indian food. Every time Grace brings home Indian food, I'm just like very happy because there's a lot of house stores here, a lot of places who do this. But I was never like for anything outside. The message of Ishwar Puri Sant Mat always was and always is go within. And I think in one of the satsangs I said, anything outside will hold you here, good or bad. And it's true. In this case, I don't have a choice, is in that sense. You can always say, well, the more whatever Raj is asking got fulfilled. You can look at that way also. I take very seriously what she says always, even if she criticizes me or will say I don't understand people from India or caste system and anything like that. Well, that's okay. I've been criticized before. My only view on this is I have to do my seva as per direction of my master. That supersedes everyone else, so no matter what anyone else will say. So if this is going to go forward, that depends on other people. It's not going to change my life. I'm already here. I can go to Vortex and meditate tomorrow. So not like I do that, but I used to went a lot. So this will depend on those who wants to even get involved in this. This will have to be place which already exists most efficiently with some parking space and with everything else could be arranged in the trust or if that's the case escrow account, anything like that. If there are people who are willing to help. I don't have the money to do this out of myself. I have plenty of bills to pay with Grace where we are right now. And we're living in Sedona, by the way. Also, if this is going to be forward, my modules that are Pranay. Right now, I'm asking Pranay to be rep in India for Ishwar Puri Sant Mat, which he already is. But in the future, based on this moch and based on the moch he got from Mr. Puri, these two moch are connected. So he has his own moch from Mr. Puri. He might have to move to United States. So someone will have to take his place in India. And I already have someone in mind. Right now, he's working out many different things inside. He doesn't know that yet, but I do. So also, Nick and Lena, I already talked to them if they will be willing to be in the future reps in Australia. There's a need for someone like that now because of Namdan. And if they accept, and I have another person in mind in Singapore. Or should I say, master, my master, and that's Sarvanan. To be rep for Ishwar Puri Sant Mat for what's happening here, if he accepts. Oh no, that will be his personal decision between him and the master. But this is what I'm getting. So these are the plans. And if this ever come in the sense to manifestation, I will be giving satsangs also for whoever comes over, or we may have a bandaras. This place doesn't have to be huge. It can be a small place within the means. And if somebody comes up, oh, let's do it tomorrow here, I said, go, okay. We're not concerning about bricks and stones and all carrying all that, because this is not even possible here in Sedona. There are a whole bunch of zoning rules. United States codes and zoning rules, they will not even allow you to open anything like that unless it's done or built by contractors or anything like that. So that's not even possible. It's never going to happen. So it has to be the best way, something which is already standing. I mean, if you want to paint inside or do something like that, for example, that little church which was for sale, they converted to bed and breakfast, right? They made a bed and breakfast out of the church. People who bought it, did some changes, and it is in existence right now. But even the changes, they have to be done by someone licensed. But there's always other seva to do. So this is as far as this aspect goes. Let's see what else I have here. Relevant to what we're talking about. Oh, by the way, Nick, for the December Bandara, I was looking this today. We have a 23rd of December. We need to add 22nd of December. So we have to make this 2 days, not just the 23rd, but 22nd. On 22nd, we got to split these 2 days. So, because we may have interviews. So I would like to keep those interviews. If there's someone even willing to come over and have a personal interview, I would like to keep that on the 22nd. So 23rd, we have a 3 times, whatever else is gonna depends on the interviews. Also, if anyone is planning to have an interview, I'm requesting them to have 6 months, no meat, no alcohol, no drugs. If they want to have a personal interview in that sense, which at this point I'm planning to have. Everything else depends on my master. Of course, I'm just a Sevadar, but if somebody would like to do this or care, because I have a lot of different discussions on Zoom and on WhatsApp during last year and a half, actually, quite a few of those, and very interesting. And people have a lot of different questions. And I try to answer those questions as best as I can. But please understand that someone who has a very, very serious questions, I will need to talk to that, call it seeker, man or woman. I will have to personally. And there are very specific reasons why. When you're looking back, I don't want to go there because then you're going to make a connection. Okay, well, if he's talking about that, oh wow, what he really means now. I almost got myself giveaway. So that will be the request. I wrote it here. Now everything we do, and it's not in collision course with anyone else. Please understand, this is totally separate from what Isha does. None of this is connected to what they do or not to do. They're not telling me what I can do, and I'm not telling them what they can do. Each one has their own. I don't want to call it agenda, the merge, whatever that may be, but that's between that person and the master. I would like to point out that the current merge is with the current master, whatever that is. It's always like that. So if you go to Gurinder Singh and have a tea with him, you're not going to tell him, okay, but the other master says something different, and what are you talking about? No, you know this and that. You're not going to say that. Even if you have an opportunity to do this. And what I heard now, they don't even do initiation for 6 months or something like that. I'm not up to date with that. So there's a lot of, you have to wait for a long time. Who told me? The Pranay, you told me that? It takes a long time now to get initiation, advance?
Don't know the current situation, but a while ago, it was the case.
Yeah. So another option, if you live in the Midwest, there's SOS, or Science of Spirituality, which is based, they have a huge place on Rajendra Sen. So if you're looking for the center, that will be in the Midwest currently. I cannot think of anything else though. So this will be call it Center of Spirituality in that sense, and they were Rajendra Singh operates his mission outside in the US, except what he does in India or somewhere else. That's the main center. And he has my great respect. So is the Gurinder Singh, Dylan, who's my greatest respect. And I know Mr. Puri also respect them highly, so do I. I know many people initiated by either one or the other. Last time Raj mentioned the initiation in China. Well, I spoke to the master. Master actually spoke to me because that was one of I supposed to go with Mr. Puri to China. And he wanted me to go to China. He wanted to meet that abbot and the other people in China, so to speak. There was a reason for that, huge reason, which even though they don't understand that, I try to explain that. What was her name? Song Yutong. Song Yutong. She called me a few times, so contacted me after Mr. Puri left this physical form, and
when Master was still alive.
when Master was still alive, there were all arrangements. Her and this other people were supposed to go. That was made in India, the arrangements between us and the people from China. So I supposed to go, me and Grace supposed to go with the master, and master had the plans. But he explained me a lot of different things, which most of you do not know about that, I assume. But also this whole deal with this abbot of the monastery, of the monks over there, call it Buddhist monks. Master gave him permission to do initiations as a rep, as a representative. And the way that will work, Master explained, is he will make a list or so forth, people for the initiation and this and that. He will send that to Mr. Puri. And Mr. Puri said, well, he will approve or disapprove the person and so on and so forth. And then the next thing will happen. Now, was that the full have initiation? I'm not who am I to talk about that? But this is the way this initiation was performed. Now, please understand. I'm referring this to what I've said. You should refer that there is a person who did initiation. Please understand that his mode was to do initiation between the monks, not like the whole country of China. So later on, the whole Sangha in China divided. So you had one group, you had the two major groups which could barely had a problem talking to each other. And I don't want to give you all the details and everything, what was going on or what may still going on. But this is something out of the regular with this monk. Okay, this was specifically. They have their own way of understanding even such yogas and their own writings, how the interpretation and so forth. This may not be even accepted, but some the regular Sangha people. So I'm just talking about this because Raj mentioned, and I spoke about Master Puri would tell me what he did, all this. They try to help him with physical body, this and that. This medicine, the medicine. So, but that is just for the very small group of people within that. You have to be a monk. Last time I heard, he would not accept anyone unless you're a monk and so forth. I don't know if that changed. I'm not in contact with the person. But when I was supposed to go to China, Mr. Puri had the plans. Let me put this way to you. He had the plans, and that's where I was going. None of this manifest because of what happened in Hong Kong and so forth. We had the visas, we had the tickets, we had everything. So, what was we're going to go to China later, right? He said, supposed to. Unfortunately, because what happened, COVID and all the rest, that whole year, 2020, after February or so, everything got messed up because of COVID. So no travel, no this, no that. I think Bandara was canceled in April too, right? If I remember. And that year, and the Europe and everything. There's another story to that. But that's between me and Mr. Puri and Grace. What happened about Europe. So, does anyone have any questions so far? Please, you're welcome to answer. My questions to you, and that question, but that question was usually, do you know where you are right now? That's my trick question. No one can ever basically answer the question so far. Let's see what else I have. I spoke about center of spirituality moving to Sedona. That happened already. The merge to build there in Sedona. We already spoke about that. I have explained some of the logistics of in Sedona, this and that. I already spoke about some of that. Rep for India, Pranay Prakash, temporary because he will have to be replaced. He has to come back to United States as Mr. Puri requested. Down the road, Australia, Nick and Lena, unless they tell me no. And Singapore, Sarvanam. I hope I pronounce this correctly. Nadarajan, please forgive me if I didn't say that correctly. Let's see what else I have. I have a lot of different things here. topics. Topics that have a biggest test and trap to be a master. To be a master is the biggest test, and the one can have and biggest trap in the same time. So, by the way, I would like to officially thank you to Rohit. I spoke to him for almost 2.5 hours, and he's someone who gives some who speak at the daily satsang. There's a group, I believe it's called Ishvapuri Daily Satsang or something like that. And that, so he speaks about that, and I asked him to reconsider something, and he did. So I want to thank him for being so kind and for listening to my advice to him specifically. He did recognize that advice and he implemented. So that's my respect to that. That doesn't mean I agree with everybody, what everybody say. Many times I don't. But I'm trying to hold on my own opinions about everybody, because not even Mr. Puri was giving his opinion in front of the sun god. Now that doesn't mean Mr. Puri did not have an opinion. He had opinion about everything. And he will share those with me or with us, me and Grace. So I don't know many people who even know what I'm referring to. Very few. Let's see what I have. I have an issue with, I don't want to bring this up. This will stir too many people. I'm going to wait on this at one point, because there's many people, when I go through these groups, they say some things which are untrue. But let me hold on this, because this will send too many ripples. It's not for the sun god. I'm not trying to be, it's not something you cannot handle it, but I gotta be very careful with some of the subjects. Let's see what else. Why don't we take a break? What time is it? Pranay, can we take a break and we come back, and then I take some questions from anyone, I mean, related to Sandmat. Otherwise, I have some question. I have a very, very important question I would like to address, because from Ishvapuri Santmat received a new message. This is recent message. But the question in this is coming over and over and over, the same question, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, there's a lot of people asking the same question. So I try to avoid answering this, but this, I'm at this point, I'm just gonna, because the person who wrote this, Pranay said, well, Mr. Cezary got this email, he's either gonna answer through email or during the satsang. So I did not answer this through email. So if I don't answer this question in the satsang, that is, I have to keep my word. So I will answer this question. It is very, very, this is gonna stir a lot of people, unfortunately, but I will answer this question. So let's take a break, can we?